This episode of LeapTV is made possible by MyLeapTools.com. Ever wish you had a GPS for business? Well, now you do. MyLeapTools is about tools, strategies, insights to help you operate more productively and also give you a competitive edge. So give it a try. Today on LeapTV, as you know, cash is king. So if you want a little bit more money in your bank account, Melody is going to talk about cash flow. Also, the tools and performance tool of the week will be about smartsheet.com. I'm Isabelle Mercier, and yes, you know it, this is the show that shows you that small, intentional, and consistent actions lead to massive results. Given the amount of bookkeeping questions that we receive on a regular basis, I thought it would be a good idea to re-invite Melody Waterberg from Waterberg & Company to come and talk a little bit more about cash flow. Melody, as you know, specializes in small business bookkeeping, and she's been part of our team for over 13 years. The previous episode that Melody was on, which was episode 47, Melody covered the basics of cash flow projections and the importance of truly understanding what it takes to reduce your financial feast and famine, and we all know what that feels like. So I re-invited Melody to the show so that she could give us some tangible examples of what to do today to improve our cash flow. Here is what Melody had to say.
Thank you so much, Isabelle, for having me back. It's a pleasure. So as we know at this point, cash flow is all about timing. We've talked about that before. So there's no real secret to managing it except to know that it's thinking about timing. It's about bringing in more money and bringing it in sooner and paying out less money and paying that out later. So how are some of the ways we can do this? Bringing in more money, of course, every business owner thinks about what are my optimal prices and how can I sell more. But go beyond that and be creative and think about every other way you can bring in money. What additional services or products can you provide? How can you package your services or products to increase your sales? But again, I'm talking about sales, increasing sales. There are other ways. Stop and think for a minute. Be creative. What about putting your space or your equipment to work for you? You might be able to sublet some of your space. That's not your typical flow of revenue, but it's more money coming in. And you might be able to put your equipment to use for you in some way. I actually know of a laser clinic who lets out their laser to a school for teaching when they're not using the laser. There's a flow of money coming in for them that is above and beyond their sales. So get creative. Think about all the ways you can bring in money. Improving your cash flow. Obviously, this is about getting paid as quickly as you can in all aspects of your business, staying on top of receivables. You know, it's possible to be a zero receivables business for many industries. Think about that. Taking retainers, deposits, progress payments. It's really, you want to stay on top of when the money's coming in and manage that. As far as paying out less money, again, it's about negotiating prices with your suppliers, but it's more than that. You want to get creative and think about all the ways you can pay out less money. And here's a few ideas. Consolidate your loans and credit cards. Overall, your money going out towards debt can be brought down that way. Downsize your space for less cost in lease. Consider leasing instead of buying. That's really going to, lease costs are considerably less than the upfront cost of buying your capital assets. In fact, here's a creative idea. You may be able to sell some of the assets you have and lease them back. I've known of businesses who do that, and that brings in cash in the immediate time frame. Consider buying used. Again, it's all about paying out less money. Think about payroll. Excuse me. Payroll is an area where you may well be paying out too much. Can you streamline your jobs? Is time being used efficiently? So just like in bringing in money, in this area, think creatively about all the ways you spend money and how can you bring that down. And then think about paying later. You want to pay your bills on time, but not early. You can negotiate with your suppliers, not just for price, but also for terms of payment. You can delay capital purchases until you absolutely need them. Keep the cash as long as you can. And here's a key area. How much inventory do you have on the shelf, and is it efficient? Think of anything you are holding in your business, inventory, assets, prepayments, anything you're holding as money sitting on the shelf. How can you be more efficient with it? How can you use what you have and delay paying for it as long as possible? that's really what cash flow is all about.
Well, thank you so much, Melody, for once again giving it to us in plain English. So Leapers, what's the lesson here? What I'm taking from Melody's advice is this: thinking creatively to always find ways to bring in more money, and of course bringing it in sooner, and finding ways to pay out less money, and of course paying it out later. Now, without being late on your bills, but the longer the money sits in your account, the better. Now, Leapers, it is time to spark a conversation. Here is what I want to know. Do you have other questions, money questions for Melody? Or do you have cash flow tips that you would like to share with your LeapTV community? All you have to do is simply add your comment below this video at LeapTV.com. We do want to hear from you. Now, talking about bringing money in sooner, I discovered a simple and, according to me, amazing productivity tool a little while back that is called smartsheet.com. If you're like me, you've got a million projects at once, and you're feeling like you're herding cats, I'm sure. Now, as a result of herding cats lately, I felt like my projects were taking way too long or longer than planned, and that made me feel definitely less profitable and less productive. Smartsheet.com definitely has solved that for me. It's simple like a spreadsheet, but it's much, much smarter. You can manage your projects, your tasks, create work-back schedules without getting bogged down by too many bells and whistles. It easily integrates with your Google Calendar. You can set email reminders, alarms, you can attach files. Basically, Smartsheet is truly that, smart. So, as a result, I encourage you to go visit smartsheet.com to get your trial up and running right away. And of course, if you've liked this week's performance tip, chances are you would love myleaptools.com, so give it a try. Did you know that being a MyLeapTools member has perks? Perks like having the opportunity to pick Isabel's brain once a month on live Q&A calls for free. If you've liked this week's episode, I would love for you to spread that love around. I invite you to tweet it, Facebook it, LinkedIn it, email it, and don't forget to add your 2 cents because I want to hear your thoughts. And you do that by leaving a comment below this video at leaptv.com. Alrighty, Leapers, that's what I had to share with you today. Remember that everything you've learned here will do zip for you, unless, of course, you implement it. So do yourself a favor and implement at least one thing you've learned today. And remember that it's much easier to do it than it is to dwell on it. I'm Isabelle Mercier, and I would love to connect with you via Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Join me again next episode for more tips, tools, and insights to help you perform like never before. See you next time. Okay. Rolling. Talking about bing. Bing, 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 bing. Okay. This episode of the Vancouver Housewives has been made possible by... No! Wow! Oh, I'm sorry. Let's get back to the matter here. Come on. All right.